I lived out here. I was here for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was.
Bro, so we're finding out that our favorite dancing happy widow, Erika Kirk, has been married before.
Erika Kirk is reportedly furious after Cabot Phillips suddenly distanced himself at an ATPUSA rally, and people immediately started asking what really went down behind the scenes. What's really grabbing attention right now is the growing talk that he might be ready to reveal everything he knows about her private world. This isn't just some random name from her past either. This is someone who knew her before Charlie, stayed close even after Charlie came into the picture, and has been right in the middle of recent events. If he decides to speak out, many believe it could seriously shake up how people see this entire situation. And their connection? It was way deeper than just casual. They were actually together. And there's real proof out there from old social media posts going all the way back to 2017. Those posts show shared moments like painting classes, emotional birthday messages, and even playful nicknames like Cash Cab and Your Catfish. All of that points to something real, not just a passing connection that people misunderstood. It looks like they had a genuine relationship that just stayed low-key at the time. And now that it's resurfacing, it's adding a whole new twist to everything happening right now because their history suddenly feels a lot more layered than people first thought. Now here's where things start to raise eyebrows. Erika publicly claimed she hadn't dated anyone for 5 years before meeting Charlie. But if she was involved with Cabot in 2017 and then met Charlie in 2018, that timeline doesn't exactly line up. And this isn't some tiny detail people can ignore. It creates real questions around her story and has people looking closer at how everything was presented. Fast forward to the period after Charlie's passing, and instead of things calming down, the situation starts looking even more unusual because Cabot doesn't fade into the background at all.
It's Cabot Phillips who apparently is doing the How to Lead Like Charlie college tours for TPUSA now. Interesting.
Instead, he's right there in the spotlight, visibly leading the How to Lead Like Charlie college tour and representing TPUSA at major events. That alone has people talking nonstop, because many are confused about why her former boyfriend is now playing such a major role connected to her late husband's legacy. It just doesn't feel like something people expected to see. And that's exactly why so many are questioning what's really going on behind the scenes. The fact that Cabot suddenly reappears in such a big way, and in a position tied so closely to Charlie, is what's raising eyebrows everywhere. People are trying to make sense of it, and the questions just keep getting louder. Some believe their relationship may not have fully ended the way it was presented, while others think the situation was far more complicated than a simple breakup ever suggested. And then there's another detail that's now getting a lot more attention. Some people have pointed out that the night before Charlie passed, he reportedly didn't sleep in the same room as Erika. At the time, the explanation given was that she wanted him to get proper rest, which sounded reasonable on the surface. But now, with everything else coming out, people are starting to look at that moment differently. What once seemed like a small, forgettable detail is now being re-examined as part of a bigger picture. People are connecting dots, revisiting timelines, and asking whether there was more happening behind closed doors than anyone realized at the time. The more these pieces get discussed, the more the entire situation starts to feel layered in ways no one expected. Then the focus shifts straight onto Cabot himself, because once people started digging into his background, they noticed details that only added more fuel to the conversation, especially that pizza lip tattoo. On its own, it could honestly be something random, personal, or even just a joke. But the internet didn't take it lightly at all. In online spaces where everything gets analyzed down to the smallest detail, that tattoo quickly turned into a huge talking point.
I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than going, I don't drink. I find it unproductive.
People began reading into it way deeper than expected, pulling in all kinds of ideas and theories from different corners of the internet. And that's when things started getting uncomfortable fast. You've got comments floating around claiming things like the FBI supposedly linked certain symbols to suspicious activity and trying to connect that back to him and Erika. Those are serious claims that require real evidence, and there's no confirmed proof backing that up. But the fact that people are even saying things like this shows just how far the speculation has gone. Now here's where everything really starts to escalate. The breakup rumors added another layer, with people saying Cabot ended things with Erika during an ATPUSA rally. Since there have been multiple events recently, everyone's trying to figure out exactly when it happened and what led up to it. But what's making this situation feel intense isn't just the breakup itself. It's the idea that he might now be ready to reveal private details about her. Once that possibility enters the conversation, it stops feeling like a personal issue and starts looking like something that could shift public perception in a major way. And people are already speculating about what could come out if he decides to speak. Some have brought up long-running rumors that Erika may have had a previous marriage that was never publicly discussed, with claims that certain records were kept out of view. If anything like that were ever confirmed, it could seriously change how people see her, because it would raise questions about what else hasn't been shared. Then there's also the talk surrounding her nonprofit work, especially claims connecting it to alleged activity overseas. These are heavy topics, and again, they remain unverified. But the fact they're being discussed at all shows how intense the spotlight has become and how quickly narratives can shift when new questions start stacking up. There's still no confirmed evidence backing any of that up.
Oh, that she was definitely dating Cabot Phillips most of 2017, it seems. But yeah, the whole how to lead like Charlie, and that's literally his grieving widow's ex, is very off.
But the fact that people keep bringing it up shows just how much distrust is already in the air. Because once a narrative like that starts spreading, it sticks around even without proof. Another topic that keeps resurfacing involves alleged messages from years ago, where claims were made about her interacting inappropriately with a younger individual. That situation has never really been addressed publicly, and because of that, it keeps getting pulled back into the spotlight, adding even more fuel to the speculation. And then things take an even more serious turn, because some online theories have tried to connect her to figures like Epstein, suggesting involvement in activities that have never been verified. These claims are extremely serious, but there is no confirmed proof supporting them. Still, the fact they continue to circulate shows just how far the conversation has escalated. At this point, it feels like everything is being thrown into the mix all at once. And a big reason it's all resurfacing now comes back to Cabot. If he really was close to her during these periods, people believe he could know what's true and what isn't. That's why there's this growing sense that he might be holding on to information that could either clear things up or take things even further. Erika has pushed back strongly against many of these rumors, saying they are false and driven by people trying to damage her reputation. So now it's turned into one of those situations where one side is making major claims, the other side is denying everything, and the public is left trying to figure out what to believe in the middle of all this noise. And now everything reaches a point where the pressure around this situation feels heavier than ever, because it's no longer just about isolated rumors or random conversations online. It's about how all these different pieces are starting to connect in people's minds. What makes this moment stand out?
2019 at that, a journalist who was in a relationship with someone known to work with humans stuck in traffic. I'm sorry, but there is no convincing me that that man did not know exactly what pizza meant in 2019.
Is how fast the narrative has shifted. At first, it was just questions about Erika's past relationships. Then it turned into discussions about timelines, public statements, and inconsistencies people thought they noticed. But now, it's evolved into something much bigger, where every past detail is being pulled back into the spotlight and examined all over again. The biggest reason for that shift keeps coming back to Cabot. His presence in recent events, his sudden distance, and the timing of everything has created this sense that something important might be sitting just beneath the surface. People are watching closely, not just because of what has already been said, but because of what might still come out if he decides to speak openly. And that's where things get even more intense, because the idea of someone close to the situation potentially sharing their perspective changes everything. It's one thing for outside voices to speculate, but it's completely different when someone who was actually there becomes part of the conversation. That's why so many people are paying attention right now, waiting to see if anything new actually gets revealed. At the same time, the internet has taken on a life of its own with this story. Every post, every old photo, every interaction is being re-examined. People are going back years, trying to connect dots, build timelines, and piece together a version of events that makes sense to them. And when that happens, even the smallest detail can suddenly feel like a major clue. What makes it even more complicated is how quickly assumptions can turn into widely accepted narratives online. Something that starts as a question can quickly be repeated so many times that it begins to feel like a confirmed fact, even when there's no real evidence behind it. That's exactly the kind of environment this situation is now sitting in. And while all of this is happening, Erika remains at the center of it. Every move, every statement,
Needed proof, like, yeah, they dated, couples that paint together. And honestly, they can get away with it because what are we gonna do? Nobody's doing shit unless we all decide, hey, enough is enough. What the fuck? So go ahead and share this because I think this is fucking crazy. I mean, how much more obvious can it
and even her silence is being analyzed from every angle. Some people see her responses as strong and direct, while others feel like there are still unanswered questions. That divide is what keeps the conversation going, because there's no clear agreement on what's actually true. Another thing adding to the tension is the way public perception can change so quickly. One moment, someone can be viewed in a certain light, and the next, that image starts to shift as new conversations take over. It doesn't always take confirmed information for that shift to happen either. Sometimes it's just the volume of discussion that pushes things in a new direction. And right now, the volume is high. The amount of attention this situation is getting continues to grow. And with that comes even more speculation, more opinions, and more theories being added into the mix. It creates a cycle where the story keeps feeding itself, getting bigger and more complicated with each passing day. At the center of all this is a simple question people keep asking: what is actually real? And what is just noise? Because when so many different claims are being thrown around at once, it becomes harder and harder to separate facts from assumptions. That's why moments like this often feel unclear. Even when there's constant conversation happening, there's also the reality that situations like this don't stay still. New details can come out at any time, and when they do, they can completely change the direction of the story. That's another reason people are watching so closely, because they know that things could shift again just as quickly as they already have. And then there's the human side of it all, which often gets lost in the middle of the noise. Behind every headline, every post, and every theory, there are real people involved dealing with real pressure, the constant.
Bro, so we're finding out that our favorite dancing happy widow, Erika Kirk, has been married before.
Attention, the ongoing discussion, and the uncertainty around what comes next can create an environment that feels intense from every angle. Still, the focus continues to circle back to Cabot. Whether he speaks or stays silent, his position in all of this has already changed how people are looking at the situation. If he says nothing, the speculation will likely continue. But if he does decide to share his side, it could either clear things up or take everything in a completely new direction. That uncertainty is what keeps the conversation alive. People aren't just reacting to what's already happened, they're reacting to what they think might happen next. And when a story reaches that point, it becomes less about a single moment and more about the ongoing buildup of everything surrounding it. At the same time, there's a growing awareness that not everything being said online can be taken at face value. More people are starting to question where information is coming from, how reliable it is, and whether it's been verified at all. That shift in thinking is important because it shows that even in the middle of all this noise, people are trying to make sense of things more carefully, but even with that awareness, the curiosity doesn't go away. If anything, it gets stronger, because when there are unanswered questions, people naturally want answers. And when those answers aren't immediately available, the conversation keeps going, filling in the gaps with theories and possibilities. Right now, this situation feels like it's sitting right at that turning point. Everything that's happened so far has built up to this moment, where attention is high, questions are everywhere, and the next move could make a big difference. Whether that move comes from Erika, from Cabot, or from something else entirely, people are watching closely to see what happens next. Because in situations like this, it's not always one big reveal that changes everything. Sometimes it's a series of smaller moments that slowly reshape how the entire story is seen. And with so many eyes on this right now,
does Erika Kirk have ties to a non-for-profit called Romanian Angels, which is somehow linked to child trafficking?
I can at least tell you what that last weird text exchange was about, the one where Erika tells her not to drink and to suck her stomach in tonight, wherever they're going tonight.
Even the smallest development could end up having a major impact on how everything unfolds from here. The problem right now is simple. There isn't anything solid out there that clearly confirms one side or the other. And that's exactly why this conversation just won't slow down. You've got two completely different versions of the story floating around at the same time, and without clear answers, people are stuck trying to figure out what actually makes sense. One side is pushing certain claims, while the other is shutting them down completely. And that back and forth is what keeps everyone watching so closely. And now with this fallout between Erika and Cabot, the attention has only gotten stronger. Because let's be real, If he actually decides to speak openly, that could change everything in an instant. That's the part that has people locked in right now. Not just what's already been said, but what might still come out next. This is why the situation feels bigger than just drama. It's not only about past relationships or rumors anymore, it's about perception, reputation, and how quickly everything can shift depending on what gets revealed. If new information comes out, it could completely reshape how people view her and everything connected to her. At the same time, there's this feeling that things are sitting right on the edge. Like at any moment, something new could drop and push the story in a totally different direction. That kind of uncertainty keeps people glued to the situation, constantly checking for updates and trying to read between the lines. And until something clear actually comes out, the speculation isn't going anywhere. People are going to keep talking, keep questioning, and keep trying to connect the dots, even if not all of those dots actually lead anywhere solid. So now it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think is really going on here? Do you believe there's more that hasn't come out yet? Or is this all being blown way out of proportion? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll catch you in the next one.